Ultimately, the Whig Party and the Democratic Party will eventually agree on war with Mexico. Why? Well, it takes some convincing by the U.S. President James K. Polk, but ultimately it comes down to a border dispute between the two countries. So after the Texas Rebellion and Texas gains its independence, it eventually will be annexed by the United States. And there's a disagreement on the border of Texas. So if you take a look at this map, you can see this area right here, this disputed area, this is the area that both countries claim. All right. Mexico claims that the border of Texas begins at the Nueces River, which is over here in this direction right here, if you look at the map. And the United States claims that the border of Texas is the Rio Grande River. All right. So this is the line here showing you the Rio Grande. So basically, you have a difference of opinion there on where the Texas border is, and that's a huge amount of territory if you look at this, right? So it's understandable that the two countries are arguing over this. Well, eventually, the President of the United States, James K. Polk, and the President of Mexico, Mariano Paredes, will eventually send troops to this disputed area. And if you have soldiers from two different armies occupying the same area and claiming that area, well, there's bound to be some type of conflict. And so there will be. Eventually, there'll be a firefight between Mexican soldiers and American soldiers. And Mexican soldiers will actually be victorious. They will kill some American soldiers and capture the others. And this action, though, is ultimately going to be the fuel that Polk needs to prove to the U.S. Congress that they should declare war on Mexico. And ultimately, the Congress will agree, and war will be declared on Mexico on May 13th of 1846. Once war is declared, the U.S. Army will invade Mexico. First, you see an invasion of New Mexico. And at first, there isn't much of a resistance there. The U.S. Army that invades New Mexico is led by Stephen Kearny. And yes, Kearny has no opposition really at first. He goes into Santa Fe, the capital, and he doesn't have much resistance. But eventually, you will see members of the lower class, as well as Native Americans in New Mexico, rebel and give some resistance against the United States. This is in the Taos Revolt. And the resistance will last for a little while, but ultimately the U.S. Army will crush the Taos Revolt, and after that, there isn't much resistance in New Mexico. The U.S. Army has pretty much gained control of New Mexico. At the same time, you have American citizens living in the Mexican province of California who will revolt against the Mexican government before the U.S. forces even arrive in California. This is known as the Bear Flag Revolt. What takes place in the Bear Flag Revolt is basically it was planned by a U.S. Official named John C. Fremont. And the Bear Flag Revolt basically took place in the northern part of California. So you'll have American citizens. So you'll have Americans in the area taking over the town of Sonoma, which was one of the major settlements in Northern California at this time. They will capture a couple of Mexican generals, hold them hostage. They'll take possession of cannons and weapons. And so they basically will gain control of that part of Northern California. And they will declare that they have started a new republic. Right? And so this will only last for about a month. Eventually, U.S. naval forces will arrive in Monterey in Northern California under the command of Commodore John D. Sloat. And these naval forces will land, they will take possession of Northern California, and they will declare that California has been annexed by the United States. They raise the American flag, and that pretty much brings an end to the Bear Flag Republic. But eventually, you will see resistance from Mexican citizens in California, the Californios, they are called. And so the Californios will put up a resistance. They will eventually take over Los Angeles after the U.S. had gained control of it. And you'll have a number of battles take place in Southern California involving Mexican and U.S. soldiers. One particular battle, the Battle of San Pasqual, was a major victory victory for Mexican resistance forces led by Andres Pico. But eventually the Mexican resistance movement will be defeated in Southern California, and the United States will firmly gain control of the area. Here is a map of the Mexican-American War. You can see the routes taken by Stephen Kearny as he makes his way to Santa Fe. Eventually, Kearny will go from New Mexico and make his way to California, and he is involved in putting down the resistance of the Californios there in Southern California.